Engines roar on a moonlit stage. Steel beasts roll a distant wage. Truckers' voices crying through the night. Tales of speed and endless fights. Miles and miles, all our strength we give. All in dreams, we fight to live. Lonely highways call our name. In this life, we find our fame. Neon lights and diner blues. Truck stops where we share the news. Turning wheels in endless miles. Stories fill the smoky aisles. Miles and miles, all our strength we give. All in dreams, we fight to live. Lonely highways call our name. In this life, we find our fame. Neon lights and diner blues. Truck stops where we share the news. Turning wheels and endless miles. Stories fill the smoky aisles. Miles and miles, all our strength we give. All in dreams, we fight to live. Lonely highways.
Well, good Thursday afternoon, everybody. I hope y'all doing good tonight. Hey, we are right here, right there on Truckers Voices. I can't get my hands right. I don't know which way the camera's pointing there. So we're right here on Truckers Voices tonight. We're so glad that you are tuning in with us. And we are over here on Facebook, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, and we are also on Spotify. So you can find us anywhere just by searching Truckers Voices. So glad to have y'all with us tonight. We got a special show lined up for you. We got a great guest coming on, Mr. Jackie Reed, and he's going to come on and talk about how he got into trucking and then some of his accolades through the National Truck Driving Championship, his State Truck Driving Championship accolades also. But I'm excited to hear from Jackie today. And I just kind of been waiting all day on this podcast. So, every week that we come on this podcast, I can't wait till the next week. I could really do it every night if I had enough guests to do it there, but don't have enough time and don't have enough guests to do it. So, but you know what? We just have to line it up and do it when we can. But sure enjoy doing it. Sure enjoy talking with you guys. And I'm so proud of our listeners that come in and listen to us on a weekly basis there. We appreciate your support on the show there. But yep. I'm so glad I had a good day today. I've actually did a share the road demonstration at a local high school. We saw over 90 students today that we put in our truck, and we showed them the blind spots around our commercial vehicle. The up and coming motorists need to know how to drive around our commercial vehicles for sure. And so if we can catch them young, and maybe we can teach them something. But if we make one difference and we save one life, our job's done. That is our job every day, is to make sure that we are around the motor public, and we are doing everything that we can do to be safe there. So anyway, well, let me bring in here my co-host, Mr. Steve Brand. Come on in here, Steve.
Rolling, they hating and patrolling and trying to catch me riding dirty,
Yeah.
I gotta go over the correct shoulder. There we go.
Man, I tell you what, these camera angles get kind of funky sometimes, don't they?
Oh, I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you. I just, you go out there and look at everything in that truck 10 hours a day, and then you come in there and look at something totally different. You got to get reacclimated, whatever. I'm not even going to try it.
Well, hey, so shout out to our signs here. We have got some neon signs that we're rocking on the podcast, and we actually got some new shirts. Wrong side, we got some shirts here that we're rocking. Some new Truckers Voices shirts that we're rocking. So hey, you know what? We are professional podcaster there, Steve-O.
Exactly. We are coming up to the big time.
Watch out, XM Radio and Road Dog Trucking, right?
You got it, baby. You got it.
How was your day in Ohio? How was trucking in Ohio today?
Well, for the most part, it was pretty good. It's a beautiful day. It's about 86 degrees. Gorgeous. But they decided to crash on the north side of Columbus this morning. Cost me about 15 minutes. Then they got up there in Pennsylvania and you got construction. That cost another 20 minutes. I don't
Temporary inconvenience for a major improvement.
I don't know why these people make it so difficult, I don't know. But it's all good, that I know of. Everybody made it unscathed.
Yeah.
Well, then probably about 1:30 this afternoon, a tractor trailer driver wrecked outside of town here, out east of town on the interstate. Shut the whole eastbound side down, shut 2 out of the 3 lanes down going west. So we had to take a little detour and go through the countryside. And I tell you what, in all my career, there ain't nothing like getting off on a 2-lane highway, smelling the grass, smelling the home cooked meals, looking at the cows. I mean, it's actually kind of enjoyable every now and again. But the funny part about it was it took me a little over 45, 50 minutes to go an extra 9 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all part of the job, And
it is what it is. Just as long as you make it, and that's what counts.
Well, that's the big thing. And, I hope that driver that crashed out here, I hope he's okay. Hope nothing bad happened to him, But, yeah, a little bit of inconvenience one day. You think about all the days that everything goes smooth.
Right.
And, but it's like you can have 150 days go smooth and you have one day mess up, and that's the only day you remember. You don't remember all them good days. You remember that one bad day.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, you and I, we are road drivers, and our routes are pretty well set. You know the route that I run every day up to the big A, and get out of the big A and come back. But I'm going to tell you what, my hats are off to the city drivers that have to go into the residential areas and back in and put their trailers and trucks into certain situations. My hat is definitely off to the city driver. And we have got a guest tonight that absolutely has to deal with that on a daily basis. Without our city drivers, man, we wouldn't have no freight to haul across on our routes, on to our meet points. So and I do appreciate them very much. I was a city driver myself for 5 years, but the rest of my career has been on the road, but I can appreciate a good city driver. And I think our guest, Jackie Reed, is probably an A1 top-notch city driver. But beyond that, he is a national truck driving champion for the year of 2024. How about that?
I need some insight.
You need some help?
I need some help. Yeah, I can't wait to hear his story. And
Right.
like you just said, and I always say, we're a family, we're a team.
Right.
City guy goes out, picks it up. Dock worker shovels freight trailer to trailer. We come in as road drivers. We take it down the road. We bring it back, and the process starts all over. We need each other.
That's right.
Look at a wheel. But, well, I guess we ought to read this and get this out of the way. What do you think?
Go ahead.
All right. The views expressed on this show are those of the host and the guest only and do not reflect those of others.
And I will add to that, or other entities. How about that?
Other entities. Yes.
Yep.
I like that.
All right. Well, we have belabored this long enough. So let's bring our champion in here on our champion song for sure. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right, everybody. Mr. Jackie Reed. All right, Jackie, it's good to have you. We bring everybody in on our Rocky theme there. Everybody that we have on our show are champions in their own right. But I'm going to tell you what, you got a little bit of a better twist on it tonight than everybody else. So you are a grand champion in our nation there, and we do appreciate you coming on our show.
Well, I certainly do appreciate the invite. I do. I appreciate y'all having me.
Thanks.
Absolutely, Jackie. It is an honor and a privilege there. So, how you doing tonight?
Everything's good. Had a good day. A little bit of rain, but nothing major. Nothing major.
I got you, Jackie. So tell us a little bit about yourself. We want to know who you are and where you reside at, and basically you can just go on into how you got into this great industry that we all love, and we're gonna just sit back and listen there.
Okay. Jackie Reed. I live in Harrisburg, Mississippi. It's about 100 miles from New Orleans. 50 miles from the coast. Started driving, or got my first shot at maybe getting behind the wheel of a truck probably when I was maybe 13, 14 years old. Dad had several trucks that he managed, and he would let my brother and I pull them forward or back them up. They needed to be moved or anything like that. And I guess it just kind of got in the blood. So went to school went to college for a year and met my wife, and we decided to get married, and I went to work at Borden's bottling plant and worked there for 2 years, and then Arkansas Freightways opening, and I went to Arkansas Freightways, and they called me back, said, let's see if we can do something. So I've been there, throughout the years, through my whole career, really. It was Arkansas Freightways, changed to American Freightways, and then of course FedEx Freight.
All right. Well, that is absolutely an awesome way to come into it. So basically, Jackie, you're telling us that you are a second generation truck driver, correct?
Yes, sir. My dad was more into the management. He run the bottling plant and everything, and had to manage the trucks, and so he drove for a little while, not very long, 3 or 4 years, and he would kind of fill in when he drivers out, and that was where he was letting us kind of help him, do that. So.
I got you. So, how long total have you been in the trucking industry?
Probably 35 years.
35 years.
Yes, sir.
So, Jackie, outside of before you got started trucking, so you've been doing this your whole life, or did you ever do something different?
Pretty much the whole life. I was going to school to do air conditioning work, and at a trade school, and then never did go back that second year to finish up getting that license or whatever, and started trucking, and never did look back.
I got you. So yeah, that's me. I've always been doing something with trucking, even from my early years and growing up on the farm. I've always had a steering wheel in my hand. That's what I like to say. I've always had a steering wheel in my hand of some kind or another. But I can't imagine myself doing anything different. And of course, I've got almost 33 years in the industry total, and working on my 30th year here, with the company that I'm with now. But I'm telling you, man, it is a great career. And I was being absolutely dead serious whenever I said that I have so much respect for the city drivers, because I've been there, I've done that, and I know some of the struggles that go on, working in the city. And so, how long have you been a city driver with the company that you're with?
33 years.
33 years. Those you never run the road or run line haul or anything like that.
Well, I was at a small center, and we only had a few road runs. And then when we would get new road runs, they would let drivers transfer in with the work. So they would transfer in and then transfer out. They cut a run or moved them or whatever, But didn't really have a whole opportunity there to go over the. So just made my way as a city driver.
I got you. So I'm gonna back off the mic. Steve, he might have a question queued up there for us, so I'll go ahead and let Steve jump in there.
Well, down there where you're at is a lot of rural area. You don't have any major cities like Jackson or Atlanta or anything like that, do you? Or you got smaller metropolitans?
Yeah, smaller metropolitans. Just communities, and then you have the city of Hattiesburg, and you've got Laurel. They're just smaller towns. Worked in Meridian most of my career. 20. We had a lot of. We had 16 road runs at one time, and they would go and meet Charlotte in Villa Rica, Georgia, and I would run those. High enough on the city side that anytime they called extra one in, or if one of the guys took off, I would run that. But at the terminal, and I was able to, there's more to the job than just driving. I have an office, dispatch, mechanic. I mean, just anything. You just at a small center, you have to wear a lot of hats. It's we don't have a janitor to come along and mop it. So we had to take care of that,
Right. Right. It's kind of TDC related. We'll get into much more of that later. But one question that I heard brought up years ago, and, I give some thought to it, and I thought, it makes a lot of sense. When you fill out the application, they ask for your years of service and your amount of miles.
Mm-hmm.
But on the city side, why don't you guys put down your stops? They ought to ask for your stops. I mean, you see what I'm saying? I mean, road drivers got 2 or 3 million miles. You might have 200,000 or 300,000 stops, in your career. I mean, that blows my mind. I mean, what's your average stops per day?
It just depends. 20, 25, would probably be average. 20 would, that would be between deliveries and pickups,
Right.
I went to Miami and helped them after the hurricanes down there. That was an experience. Went to Birmingham and helped them a few times after some weather, and so any of the volunteer teams or anytime they need a relief team or anything like that, I've always tried to do that part too,
Right.
Well, speaking of that, going down and helping, like, with the hurricanes and stuff like that, Jackie, do you do anything like mentoring or anything of new drivers or new hires or anything like that at your terminal?
When I was in Meridian, I would give the road driver the road test and kind of just make sure that they were capable of doing what we needed them to do. Not as much. I transferred 2 years ago down to Hattiesburg, and so not as much down here as I did there. So
I got you. So there's a driver that knows you well that I've actually met on several occasions over in Montgomery, Alabama. Goes by the handle Junebug. So
June or Dirty Bird.
Dirty Bird, and yep, and Scott over there, man, just A1 Class A guys there. That I've had the privilege to know, and they know you also.
Yeah.
So good people there. So I think Junebug might be listening tonight there. So he want to know about the podcast, but speaking of being a city driver, I just want to dig into that just a little bit. I want you to kind of tell the listening audience about what your typical day looks like from beginning until the end.
Um, well, when I go in, I get a list of or a manifest of what stops I have. I have an area. They try to route it together to where you're in the same area on a daily to get you real familiar with it. And but I can look down through there and see how it needs to run and how it's loaded and uh, hit the gate and go out there and start trying to get off as much as I can before pickups start rolling in. And then as they start coming in, I can kind of uh, mesh them in with what I have left to do, unless I have a large volume load or something that I need to get. So I'll try to get empty before I try to take any of that on. And it's not a 9 to 5 job. It's you have a show up time, and when you get through, you're done. So it's trucking is not 9 to 5. You guys know that it's around the clock. So,
Yeah.
but every day is different. It's one thing about trucking, and I know it is for you guys too. But every day is a different day. And you see something new every day. So I
I'm
enjoy.
I'm going to jump in, and we got a little bit of a delay going on the video, but I'm going to jump in, and I'm going to say that I can remember my days as a city driver. Getting to know my customers was one of the biggest things that I loved about it, and building relationships with them, learning when they went to lunch, and learning that kind of stuff. When I can deliver, this place or that place, that was an advantage to building relationships with that. So, did you find that to be true, Jackie?
I do find that to be true, and just like y'all were talking about the accidents, or Steve was talking about the accidents today. City drivers get hung up in that stuff too, and you never know. Be pushed for a long time, and you may have to pick the phone up and call that person and say, "Hey, I'm running 15 minutes behind. Can you wait on?" And if you have a good relationship with that customer, 9 times out of 10, I've never had anybody say, "No, we're walking out." You let them know you're coming. Yeah, and that's just from having a good relationship with the customer, I think.
Yeah. Go ahead, Steve.
How difficult is it if you've got your stops to get your trailer off, get it unloaded, and then you pull in and they say, "Hey, we're closing early. We got 2 skids for you. We need you to take them now." How difficult is that to get your trailer arranged, move stuff around to go ahead and make that pickup?
It's not bad. It's not bad. I'd rather work the freight than me, if that makes any sense.
Right.
But it's not bad. I go ahead and pick it up. And now 8 or 9 kids or whatever, that's a different thing. But 2 pallets or something, you got to go ahead and grab that and save that trip coming back. So, but my first 7 years, y'all are not going to believe this, but I didn't have a pallet jack.
Oh,
We didn't have
no.
jacks.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And my first truck was R102, and no power steering. All I had was a heater in it and one seat. So it was an 84 International. So
Well, I'm sure you've been out to Harrison and you've seen R1 before, right? He must have lost us there, Steve. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Okay. All right. Jackie, he must have lost his connection there. So I think he's having a hard time hearing us. So I'm going to send him a message to tell him to log out and log back in. But
Right.
yeah, Steve. So speaking of, some of those old time, trucking days and all that, do you, can you tell a little bit about your early days of trucking there?
1989, when I started, I started in a cab over international and did not have power steering. And it was a 83, I believe it was. And one of my first trips solo, I picked up a load in St. Louis, somewhere, and I went to Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania to Kmart. Now, this was a total inside dock. You come in, well, just hypothetical the way it was set up. You come in from the east, you go out the west, and you had the blind side back in every dock. And back in 89, there was a lot more cab overs on. But once you got backed in, then you had to drop your trailer and pull out because the next guy couldn't get around your truck.
Right.
So when he said no power steering, and I'm thinking 20 times a day he's going into these docks, and probably out of 20 docks, probably a dozen of them at least are not just wide open. You've got to jack it around this way and jack it around that way. And, and wow, that's, I don't know. I never run the city. I mean, I did pickup and deliveries at customers cross country.
Right.
Usually one pick, one drop. You might have a small LTL or something, but excuse me. But yeah, I don't know, man. And then I don't know how he did it without toting that, toting all that freight around without the pallet jack.
That's right. Jackie, are you back with us? Can you hear us now?
I am back.
Jackie, I think that you was having some Wi-Fi connection because you was actually on a pretty good delay a while ago, but I can see now that you're not. So maybe you got a good connection with us right now.
Okay.
But
good.
Anyway, so just pick up from there. Tell us about some of the early days of picking up freight and fingerprinting and all kind of good stuff like that.
You blacked out on me. Say it again.
I said, just tell us a little bit about the early days of picking up freight, picking up freight without a pallet jack and how you got it off and, fingerprinting freight and all that kind of good stuff.
Well, when we didn't have a pallet jack or whatever, you had a hand truck. I mean, it was all you had, but most there had chains or pallet pullers or a way, you could they would hook chains to a pallet to the back and get it that way if you could not get to a dock or anything. But it was we didn't know any different. I didn't know any different. Guys I worked with didn't know any different. We'd never had one. So
right.
And one of the guys, he found an old pallet puller and he kept it with him all the time. And I remember a chain that I kept with me that you could go in and pull a 4-way pallet to the back, if you were not unable to pull it back with your hand truck or something, but that was the good old days, man.
Yes, I remember hooking chains to pallets and actually driving out from underneath the pallet before. And I know you've probably done that before also.
Yeah, drag it to the back. Lots of things, anything to try to get it off, I mean, you don't want to break down everything. I mean, you never would get through, but people were really, I mean, they would help, and just the way it was back then in the early 90s. So, but when I hired on, I think I was trying to think the other day, I think it was 11 states or 12 states, and now we're, of course, nationwide,
Right.
So, but it's been a while back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I tell you what, we have come a long ways as far as the way we deliver freight, pick up freight, and all that. I so remember load my trailers, and absolutely before I could even get started good, those pickups started coming. I'm like,
yeah,
how am I going to do this? Where am I going to put it? I've actually unloaded freight on a customer's dock before and rearranged my trailer. I'm sure you've done that too,
Yeah.
But even got to where I could use their pallet, their forklifts or pallet jacks or whatever to help myself out. But I tell you, man, you have to be pretty much flexible to be a city driver. You have to find a way to make it work.
Yeah. And you've got to enjoy it. I mean, you've got to make the best out of it, and enjoy it. Some people, there's no reason to be mad at the world. Any sense? I mean, just enjoy it. I mean, it's what you're getting paid to do. It's your job. I mean, and the main thing is get there safe and make it back to the barn safe.
That's right.
And there's not one piece of freight out there that we haul on any trailer that is worth an accident or somebody getting hurt over.
Yeah, I'll second that for sure. I will second that for sure. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, you make a good thing out of a bad situation. You just take a breath. I mean, it's just like today. I mean, I'm sitting in that backup and I'm inching forward, and it's like, okay, we're going to get through this. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. I rolled down the window, got some fresh air. Hey, it's all good. And the last thing you want to do is hammer down and make stupid moves.
Exactly.
Trying to make up time, because I guarantee one wrong stupid move is going to cost you a whole lot more.
Yeah. Yes.
And hopefully in that process of a stupid move, somebody don't get hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. But just out of curiosity, I hear talk about possibly getting electric hand jacks. Now, I'm sure with the modern hand jacks today, the electrics are a lot smaller, but the ones I remember seeing are huge. And that's going to take up space in that trailer that you could be putting freight on. What's your opinion on the electric hand jack?
I would love one.
I hear you.
I would love one, but you see other companies that have them, and they're not very bulky. I mean, they're just about the size as say the crowns that we use today. And it's not. I guess the battery packs have gotten smaller over the years, and the electric stuff. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see one of that. See one. You have more and more places or businesses are not really worried about docks or anything. They worried about a storefront.
Right.
So, and they just want you to get it on the ground, and if you can get it on the ground, put it right here on the sidewalk or bring it in the door, and you're out of there. And electric pack would make that a lot easier because, or just maybe more. It would make it quicker. Put it that way. So.
Right. Now, do you run a lift gate trailer?
It just depends. I usually pull a 48 or a 53 in the mornings. I run a volume load in the mornings, and I go down and I pick up. I take a load down and I pick up a load coming back, and then I'll come back and get a city with it. So I pull a mixture, 53, 48, and a pup. Sometimes all three. So. But,
okay.
And sometimes dispatch says, "Can you hook two dollies in between them and take all three at once, please?"
I had a guy. I did have a guy one time years ago, a terminal manager that moved in from Kansas, and he wanted me to hook a set and put a dolly behind it, and I said, "Can't do that in Mississippi." We time in Kansas, and I said, "We're not in Kansas."
Well, let me before we actually transition into the next set of questions that I've got on my mind that I want to ask you. I do want to ask you: do you have any memorable stop or something that happened to you in the city that you can share with us that kind of got this tops everything?
I don't know. That's a hard question right there.
Yeah. Well, I can kind of tell you one of my most memorable was my first day back in 1995 when I started with the company that I'm with. I hooked up to a trailer. Okay, get this. I had loaded it out. It was packed top to bottom, pallet jack turned over on top of the freight just to get it in there. And I hooked to it and I go to my first stop. When I get to my first stop, I walk up on the dock, go to the back of my trailer, and I look, and my door's open and there's no freight in there. I'm like, well, what happened to my freight? Well, lo and behold, I hooked up to the empty, which was right beside the one I was hooking to. That was my first day. So, hey, I'm still here. They didn't fire me for it, but that was a pretty embarrassing moment for me that I'll absolutely never forget. So, anything like that ever happened to you?
Not that I can remember.
Man,
I don't.
Not that he's going to tell anyway.
you're not gonna tell on yourself, Jackie.
Got a secret. So, but
Oh goodness! All
yeah,
right.
you know, it's been a good career. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've thoroughly enjoyed my career. I've worked with a lot of good people over the years, you know, and wouldn't change a thing. I mean, I've really enjoyed it. Sure have.
I got you. How many more years you think you're gonna put in?
Well, government says I'm too young to retire, so I'm 56. So I've got a few more years. So
Same here. Same here. I'm 57. I'm looking at about 5.5 years. So I'm going out at 62 is my plan.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about TDC and your road to victory. So let's talk about that, how that progressed. How many years was it before you absolutely made it to nationals?
Uh, I, I we tried to figure. I think the first year I competed was 2014 or 15, and I kept coming up short. You know, I would come in. You know, there's not a fourth place, but that was the place I was in.
Yeah.
Did that. Excuse me, did that up until 19, and then was able to come in first, and I made it to the nationals in 19.
19. All right. So yeah, I can kind of relate with you there. I've been on stage a lot. I have not made it to the big dance yet. The only way I've made it in nationals was through being a road team captain and being able to go and network nationals there. But I've got several second and third place trophies, you know. So anyway, like Ricky Bobby says, if you ain't first, you last. So but anyway, I know that it gets difficult sometimes, and you study, you work hard, you practice, and you do everything you can. And sometimes you just keep coming up short for some reason. You can't put all three aspects of the competition together like you need to. Okay, but I'm telling you, I know last year, whenever you got grand champion. Tell us about that. Tell us how your experience was whenever that happened.
I never expected it. Put it that way.
Okay.
Never expected it. And it was a dream come true. It really was. I made it to the nationals in 22. I went back in 22. The first year I was like eighth or something like that, eighth or ninth, you know, in placing, and then dropped down 22. I was maybe, I want to say it was 30. I was 30 or 31, and made it back again in 24. And my wife wasn't able to go this time. Yeah, but I got ready to walk out the door that morning. She told me to bring her a souvenir back. Okay, and she said, "Don't embarrass me with your driving either."
Yeah.
And I said, "Okay." So, you know, just I mean, that was just. But it was amazing. I had a good run. The day that the first day I drove and had a real good run. Made the cut, made the runoff, and that's a whole different ball game right there. You know, everything changes. You know, and they tighten it up even more.
Right.
But the rest is history. I mean, I didn't have a speech written, put that away.
Right.
And talk about, but I wouldn't take anything for it though. It was a good day. Sure was.
What class did you win at that end?
Tank.
In the tank class, okay. Yeah, the tank class is a different class, and you know there's a lot of different stuff, especially on the pre-chip you got to look for if you ever compete in the tanker for sure. I've competed several times in the tanker at state level, and actually placed several times in tanker. But man, my hat's off to you, and I tell you that's got to be a good feeling and probably surreal, and you probably didn't expect it, and you're like, no, they didn't just call my name.
I did not. I was Dirty Bird was at the table, and his wife Joanne, and Skinner was there, and Joanne kept turning around, and she said, I'm texting Lisa, that's my wife. She said, I'm texting and tell her they're gonna call your name, and I said, no, don't do that. Don't do that. So, but it worked out. It
Yeah.
did.
So whenever you walked across that stage and they was calling the top five,
Mhm.
tell me about that. Tell me how you felt going into that.
That's a good feeling. That was one of my goals going up there this time, was to make the we had talked, my wife and I talked, and I said, if you cannot make the runoff, that's where it stops at right there. So I said the goal is to try to be in the top five and make the runoff, and then you can look moving forward. But it's really a rush. It is. It's when they call your name, and you have done enough to make it to that next round. Good feeling. Sure is.
I got you. Go ahead, Steve.
Now, do you know where you come into the top 5 at? Was you first, second, third, fourth, fifth, or?
I had other people tell me, but in my class, I think I went into the top 5 as first.
Nice. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. To be national grand champion, it works on a formula of some kind.
It does. The harder the vehicle, I would guess, like, say, there's an algorithm that they use or whatever, but like, it's easier to get a 3-axle into a problem than it is to get a 5-axle sleeper,
Right.
And so, where a 3-axle may score a 50, the tanker or the sleeper or something like that, it's going to be harder for them to be able to do that. Not saying they can't do it, but I'm just saying it
Right.
works on the scale there, I guess, is what you would say,
Right.
So they said you would not be able to figure it out.
That's
one of those.
It's basically based on an average, I think, right?
I guess I have no idea about that
So
one.
I don't know either. I had the rules somewhere and I read it one time and I'm like, yeah, okay, that's about as clear as mud.
So Jackie, after winning the national championship last year, how has it changed your life since then?
It's good. It's good. Everything that comes along with being the grand champion is a good thing. It's a real blessing.
Yeah.
They roll the red carpet out for you. All the bells and whistles, and lots of people from all over the whole nation. Reaching out. I've had senators for the state here reaching out, and texting or and stuff like that, and that doesn't happen every day to a truck driver. So,
No.
That's absolutely right. So kind of tell the listening audience some of the stuff that you've got to do, some of the places you got to see since then.
Went to Nashville. Got to go to a huge trade show in Nashville, and that was good. It was industry leaders and equipment manufacturers and truck stops were there. Some of the TA was there, and got to network with a lot of people. It was an experience. I enjoyed that, and have been to Memphis, if that's not a top secret, but have been to Memphis and stayed there for a week. Did everything that Memphis has to offer, plus a lot of other things, and just leave that there. How about that?
Yep. We'll leave that one there. But yep, a lot of people that's listening know exactly what you're talking about. That you got to do some stuff in Memphis and see some people and probably meet some people there in Memphis for sure. But
without giving away any trade secrets,
Mhm.
kind of explain to the listening audience that's not familiar with this preparation to get you to the state, and then how do you step up your preparation to get to nationals?
Okay, before you do that, I'm going to let everybody know that I've opened up the phone lines, and you can call if you got some questions for Jackie. Our number is 251-616-2151. We'll be glad to field your call tonight, and we'll just be listening. Jackie, if somebody calls, we'll just break right in. But go ahead and answer that question that Steve just proposed there.
First of all, you need to get some friends or some people to practice with. It's hard to practice yourself. I've tried it over the years, and it's really hard. You need you either have to get your wife out there or you have to get somebody out there to help you, and you just have to teach yourself. It's over and over and over again, and just trying to figure out what you can make the truck do. And when I go into a competition, I'm going up against whoever set the course. I could care less who's my group. I say that, but I'm just saying I'm going up against the person who set the course up and trying to see how many points I can score.
Yes.
Basically going up against the person who set it up. But that's who's always showing. And just practice, and it's all three parts of the puzzle. You've got to practice your driving. You've got to study. You've got to get in the book and read the book some, and you've got to practice your pre-trip. It's right. Hard after part, but it's I guess there would be a learning curve there. When you first come in, it just takes you a time or two to figure out what is going on. Any of the unseen, don't understand are going to happen. And but I will tell this right here: anybody that is on the fence or thinking about competing or that is competing, is one of my things. I try not to let anything get me upset. Whether they roll a sleeper out there, and say, "Here, this is what you're driving today,"
right.
Or Super 10, get in there. You've got a stick today. It is what it is. You just have to. That's what they're trying to see is if you can do it,
Right.
And you just have to drive the truck.
I got a good friend of mine, and that's what he tells me. And you probably know who he is. His name's Eddie Pennington. He's absolutely retiring this year, for sure, for real, this time. But Eddie tells me he don't care what it is. He said it's a truck to him. So I was like, okay, all right, there you go. You just need to learn how to drive that truck. They all have wheels.
Yep.
Exactly. And a good friend of the show, real good friend of mine. I practiced with him. He showed me a lot. I don't have the trophies to back it up, but I've been there a lot and I kind of know what I'm doing. But he looks at it this way, and that's Scott Woodrow. You probably know Scott.
No, Scott.
Scott says, look at it this way. When you go out, sit down in that truck, put that seatbelt on, and you release that brake, just remember one thing. They just give you 300 points. Now it's your job to keep as many of them points as possible, And he started telling me how to look at it that way, and that's what I look at. I just focus. I've got 300 points. I got to keep as many of them points as possible, So, but it's, and I always tell people, I said, Scott will laugh at me whenever I'll do something. He's like, "What'd you do that for?" I said, "I'm a road driver," and he starts laughing. He goes, "Seriously, you're a road driver?" I said, "Well, all I do is go from point A to point B, and I got to get that thing in between two yellow lines without hitting anything on either side, And I tell the rookies, I say, you drive 364 days in 50 minutes, 23 hours and 50 minutes, staying as far away from everything
Yes.
so you can spend 10 little minutes getting as close as possible. It's
Exactly. It's out of your norm,
Right.
because you spend all day trying to stay away from things. And then when you get out, you're trying to get it as close as you can. But I will say this right here. The ATA really, I mean, it is the championships program is one of the best I've ever been involved with. I mean,
Right.
I think it makes you a better driver too. I really do. It makes you more aware what's
It
going
does.
on. You can do everything right all day long, and it just takes one person coming at you something wrong, and then you're caught right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So professional drivers really we have to do everything right all the time, and we have to do it even. We have to watch what other people are doing to make sure we can compensate for what they're doing wrong. So it's that's the life we live.
And they got kind of a little saying there. They say you're all champions for being sitting here because you drove 12 months without an accident.
That's right.
And that's the main thing you got to qualify is 12 months accident free.
Yep.
And then you got to throw in injury free and all that stuff. But that's the main thing. You just got to be accident free.
I want to remind the listening audience that we do have the phone line open. And, if you got any questions for Jackie, you can call the show 251-616-2151. The phone lines are only going to be open for a few more minutes, so if you got a question, get them in. We'll try to get you on the air.
I do think that's what makes it so special is the bar is set so high, and just being accident free, just everything that goes along with it, it is set so high to get there. And when you get there, that's what makes it worthwhile. You don't want a participation, I mean, you know what I'm saying? You want the bar set high, and that way that everybody is trying to strive for that
Right.
pinnacle. Right? Because if the bar is not high, nobody would it wouldn't be that big of a deal. So.
No.
Jackie, how are you feeling going into this year, knowing that you are the reigning champion? How are you feeling about the TDC this year?
That's a good question. Just try to make myself stay focused at the task at hand. Sometimes that's hard to do. I try to read the book and spend a little time in the book, at least every week. And but just wanting to make sure that I don't lose focus, and I want to stay focused to where I can get, you want to win your state. I mean, you've got to win your state. It's never a guarantee that you're ever going to make it back to the Nationals.
We're going to take a call, Jackie. How about that? Hey, welcome to Trucker's Voices, Mr. Dave Schrader. How you doing?
I am super terrific. How you doing?
I'm doing good, sir. It's good to hear you in there. I know you had a question for Jackie. I didn't want to ask it, but I wanted you to call and ask that question, okay?
Hi, how you doing, Steve? Hi, Jackie.
Doing good, Dave.
How are you, sir?
I am super terrific. Hey, I got a two-part question for you.
Okay.
Number one, are you defending your title in the tank division this year, or are you jumping class?
Going to be in tank this year. Yes.
What's going on, Steve?
You got to work hard, Dave. You got to work hard, baby.
What do you say?
He said you got to work hard, Dave. Steve said that.
Okay. All right. So I take it he's staying in the tank class. Good deal.
Yes.
Good deal. Good deal.
And what's your
All
other?
right, so second.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Second question is, how do you prepare for tank? Do you have access to the tanker, or
I do not.
To give that
I do not have access to a tank. I wish I did, but
I
do
know.
don't have access to a tank. I sure don't.
Okay.
So Dave
All right, well.
so Dave Schroeder, how do you prepare for the tank?
With a G van and a twin screw.
Let me tell you what, when I was preparing for tank, when I was competing in the tank, I did that same thing with a G van. I absolutely built myself a bolt on little tank drop out of some 3-inch PVC pipe, and I used to use vice grips and clamp it to the bottom of the G van in case they put a bulls out there for the drop, if they wanted to practice the drop. So I tried to simulate that thing the best that I could, and all you can do is do the best you can with with equipment that you have there, Dave.
You'll have to call me tomorrow and explain that one again.
I definitely will, man. Yeah, we'll talk tomorrow.
Okay.
But,
Okay, good.
well, thank you for calling Truckers Voices, David.
Yeah, and congratulations, Jackie. What a year, man! What a championship, brother. That was. I wasn't there this year, but I was live streaming, especially for the awards. And wow, what a night! What a night for FedEx! What a night for you! So congratulations, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you for calling, Dave.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah. I didn't mean to bust out laughing, but I knew he's in tank class, and when he asked that question, I knew right where it was going. He's like, "Oh no, oh no!" But okay, that brings up a good thing, like you said, Walt. Go.
Mm-hmm.
You walk into your state, and you got 15, 20 guys in your class and gals, and drivers. We'll just say drivers. And you look around and that one's one, but don't worry about it because it's not you against them, it's you against that course. That
Right.
course is, and so many people get nervous because, so and so's in my class, I ain't got a chance. Well, if you keep thinking that, you ain't got a chance.
Hey, I got to get up. I just got a cramp in my leg. Can you believe
that? Oh shoot, that's funny. Sorry,
live on the air.
See, there you go, folks. This is not scripted.
Did you see me right there?
This is live.
Hey, go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
No, I just back to what I said. Don't be intimidated by your fellow driver, because you're not competing against him and her. It's you in the course. It's you in that test. It's you in that pre-trip, and Jackie, you know where I'm going with this. You come out of that truck and you know about what you scored. You may have a couple questions on one or two problems.
Yes.
But you know from behind the wheel, I hit it or I didn't hit it.
Yeah. A lot of times you can see if you get a green flag or
Right.
red flags really shine bright. But I to be honest with you, if I can get a green flag, I'm good. Whether it's a 50 or a 30.
Right.
You give me 6 green flags and I'm good. I'm happy.
Hey, just like my buddy Mark Spencer just put up there, don't forget about the pre-trip and written. They can decide a winner. They can. 2 points, 2 points, 5 points. I mean, that's just the way it is. And like you said, if you get 6 green flags, go on the low side, say, you know what? I got 180 points. I scored 30 on everything.
There you go.
And I love it because it challenges me.
It does.
And it makes me be a better driver for the next 12 months. Win or lose, I'm going to be back and I'm going to do better than I did last year. That's my goal.
And the way the ATA has it set up, I mean, it is a wonderful event and it's family oriented.
Big time.
All about the family,
Right.
I like it. I do.
Jackie, we are really right here at the top of the hour. This hour's went by so fast, and I told you it would. But I do have to ask you one last question before we start to close the show out. Comes
Okay.
from a fellow driver that you know, Scott Osborne.
Yes.
He said, ask him about his practice group and how far he travels to practice. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've got a great practice group. I'm not gonna lie to you. We really push each other. You know, it's we really, you know, if you're driving and make a mistake, we say, "What are you looking at? You know, what are you doing?" And but yeah, we have a really good group of guys and drivers that are really trying. They really try. They want to succeed, and it's I'm very proud of the team, really. And but I drive an hour and a half to practice when I practice.
Wow. An hour and a half.
Yes, sir. I
I just lost his audio. Did you lose his audio there, Steve?
Yeah, I sure did. Sure did.
Can you hear us there, Jackie?
Yep. You can't hear.
Yeah, can't hear you. So he said he drives an hour and a half, you know, to practice. I don't know why his audio kept dropping out. Now he's going to log back in here in just a minute. But man, that's pretty amazing there to drive an hour and a half to practice there. I hear the music playing.
It ain't amazing. It's dedication.
That's definitely dedication. So we're going to bring him back in here real quick, so Jackie, are you back with us?
Yes, sir.
I don't know why I don't know why it drops out like that. It's crazy.
I'm not sure. I have full bars on the Wi-Fi, so I'm not real sure.
Right.
But yeah, it's but I think that's key, is getting good friends and people that want to try to win and do better, and it just.
Yeah, he dropped out again.
Lost
again. Yeah. But anyway, you know, Steve, you know, people who practice and they're dedicated, they're out there every week, you know, day in and day out, and trying to learn new things, new angles, how to drive it, how to approach it and stuff like that. And, you know, you got to appreciate that, the dedication that people put into it.
Yes. And along with that, I got to tip my hat to all the dedicated drivers. Whether you compete or you don't, you stay safe every day.
Right. Can you hear us, Jackie?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's go ahead and close the show out because we're right here at the top of the hour, and we always do a post trip of the show, as we like to call it. So we're going to start with you, Jackie. What advice would you give somebody that's fixing to start competing, maybe a rookie that's competing in the TDC?
A rookie, or just anybody that's competing or trying to do better, listen to anybody that has competed before, or they're trying to explain something to you. Just be a sponge. Try to soak it up and just pay attention to what everybody is saying. You know, it's another pair of eyes. Not doesn't mean that you don't know what you're doing. It just, they may see something that you're doing that they could help you with. And I try to learn something new every day. You know, and if you can learn something new every day, I'm all for it. You know. So.
Okay. Hey, that's good advice. Learn something new every day, and when you stop learning, is where the problem comes in, when you stop learning.
Exactly.
All right, so we're going to try to wrap the show up. We definitely appreciate you coming on Truckers Voices and sharing with us tonight. It's been a good show. This will be put out on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and on Apple Podcasts pretty soon. May get it uploaded tonight. It'll replay in the morning again on Facebook and on Truckers Voices. If y'all missed anything, y'all just go right back to the platforms and listen to it again at 9 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. This will replay again live. Steve-O, word of advice and encouragement, brother.
Hey, y'all be safe out there, and don't get in a hurry. Just take your time and remember what I always say: the most important trip is a trip home.
Absolutely. And Steve, y'all hang on after the show after we go off air. We'll talk on the other side. But it's been such a great night. I want to thank the listening audience for being here with us. And y'all tune in because we got some pretty good guests coming up in the near future. And we will be announcing them pretty soon here. But thank y'all for tuning in to Truckers Voices. Y'all enjoy your weekend. Be safe tomorrow. People traveling on Friday. The summertime, spring traveling, whatever it is, people are trying to get to their destinations. And that's why we got to look out for those, tell them, Steve, who aren't looking out
for themselves.
For themselves. That's right. See y'all next time on Truckers Voices. Thank y'all for being with us tonight.
Out on the blacktop, the moon hanging low. Two truckers riding where the big rigs roll. Tool man's got a story, 10 speed's got a laugh. They're spinning tales on the radio pad with a CB buzz and a coffee cup. They're rolling hard, never giving up. From coast to coast, their words take flight to kings on the highway, rolling through the night. It's 10 speed and two-man tales from the road. Stories of the weigh-ins and heavy loads. From the desert sands to the Great Smoky Pines, they're sharing their lives 1 mile at a time. Remember that time in Amarillo town? We broke down the truck, but still made it round. Tool man grinned and the diner burned out, but we got a pie before they shut it down. 10 speed chuckle, how about that storm? Lightning so close, it kept the rig warm. They swapped their stories like an old school jam, just two truckers living off the land. It's 10 speed and two-man tales from the road. Stories of the weigh-ins and heavy loads. From the desert sands to the Great Smoky Pines, they're sharing their lives 1 mile at a time. Now their podcasts playing on every dial. Truck stops and diners for miles and miles. Folks tune in for the laughter and grit, the truth of the road and the heart of it. From runaway ramps to the midnight skies, Tool man swears on 10 speed's lies. But in every tale, there's a bit of gold. Two friends on a journey, their bond untold. It's 10 speed and two-man tales from the road. Stories of the weigh-ins and heavy loads. From the desert sands to the Great Smoky Pines, they're sharing their lives 1 mile at a time. So if you're out driving, just tune in tonight. Hear 10 speed two-man